Alright, I think we should be live. Let's just see if it's playing. Cool, yeah. Push close the window, isn't it? Alright, that'll be fine. So yeah, just quick live stream today, guys. Continuing to look at IMAX stock. Hopefully the stream shouldn't lag. Last couple of times I've streamed for like literally 5 minutes and had to end the stream just because the stream kept lagging. I was having some upload issues with my internet speeds. But I think I fixed it now. Put an Ethernet cable in and should be alright now. And also, yeah, got a fan playing background or on in the background, so hopefully there's no background noise getting picked up from it. But if there is, then you know why. Cool. Right. Cool. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, looking at IMAX stock, and then we're also going to be looking at just the cinema, media, and TV industry as a whole. So kind of how I've set up the video game analysis I did, and made a video on the main channel for like this. Not updated it for a while, but that's kind of what I'm going for with this document as well. And then we'll have all of this here where we'll track all the upcoming movies and big releases. See if there's any alpha we can generate and things like that. So yeah. It's gonna make this a bit. There we go. Cool. But I should also probably say the analysis on the main channel should be coming out for this video soon. Pretty much most of it is done. Just need to clean some things up and whatnot. But yeah, most of the analysis is done. Just need to do that. So hopefully, I was hoping the video will be out this week, but probably be out sometime next week. It is looking promising, at least from a long-term hold, not a short-term trade. But I guess the whole thesis around IMAX is PLFs, which is premium large format cinema screens. Of course, IMAX being the most premium and the front runner when it comes to being, when it comes to premium large formats cinema screens. So yeah. And I guess it's also kind of like a social arb trade as well. I feel like the market while the stock has run up massively, to be fair, like 20% in the short term, purely off the Odyssey, and I guess the success of the Odyssey and it being linked to IMAX, and obviously I think it's generated $300 million gross for IMAX. So obviously the market's seen that and investors have seen that, so the stock's jumped 20+% on that. But I think one thing the market hasn't priced in properly or factored in properly is just the cultural shift in against cinema goers and the average cinema goer, to be honest, and their perception, and I guess even their knowledge and perception, knowledge and understanding of IMAX since the Odyssey. I think there's been a massive cultural shift with that, and I guess that's largely down to Instagram, of course. Instagram, all the kind of social medias, the memes you see, 70mm IMAX, and you see the cropped images for like the standard screens. I'll get it up actually. I think I already have it or not. But yeah, stuff like this is what I mean. Just it's been all over the internet, super popular. Bunch of TikToks, people complaining or laughing or just talking about it. But if I can find a good example. But yeah, you can kind of see the difference here. Oh, it's all over TikTok as well. I think if you just write in Odyssey IMAX. Oh, we're not really seeing it now. Oh, it's probably because I'm not logged in. Don't have one, but yeah. Anyway, it's gone viral. And whereas the previous Nolan film, I guess, went viral because of Barbenheimer, so right, the pink and grey aspect of Barbenheimer coming out on the same day. I guess a juxtaposition of how extremely different those two films were. The memes came out of that, whereas the memes surrounding Odyssey and its popularity have intrinsically been linked to IMAX and the format and things like this, where comments like that. But yeah, it's super interesting. I think there's a really good Odyssey movie formats. The Odyssey official website also then has this, which has been going a bit viral. But you can probably shouldn't play this loud, maybe, I don't know. Probably get copyright butters, man. But yeah, anyway, you can kind of see the difference. So an actual screen prop, but yeah, the 70mm version, the 190, slightly more cropped. You can kind of see the difference here. And this is 70mm, which is known for being quite large. And then when you go to 35mm, you see. And width-wise, while this is obviously a little more width, on a 70mm IMAX, you can still see the actual width doesn't change in terms of what's being captured. It's just the height is expanded. But yeah, super cool. And then, I guess another thesis long-term link to that then is I do feel a lot of I do feel like a lot of the I guess the move towards AI and digital, increasingly so with AI media, AI made media, it will be a lot of digital content will be perceived as slop because of AI, because then especially when you get to the point where you can't discern between what's AI made and what's actually user generated content. And when you get to that point, a lot of social media will just be flooded with content be an incredible amount of quantity, and I think a lot of consumers will then begin to reject a lot of digital content and kind of seek out more analog content. Well, I mean, we're already seeing that with the absolute explosion in VHS tapes, Blu-ray, physical collections. You know, even in music with vinyl records. If I quickly, yes, but if you try in VHS tape comeback, CTV News, there are loads of news sites, some major ones. Today News, 350,000. Gen Z flocking to DVDs and VHS tapes. CBS. And these all, if you can tell, in Fox News, but you can tell these are all within the last few months as well. So we're seeing a massive revival in VHS tapes, vinyls, and then of course the 4K Blu-rays and physical collections. So yeah. Stream quality's doing, hopefully it's alright. But yeah, I think I fixed the internet, which is nice. Right. Alright. I mean, I'd argue there's three actually. Three IMAX, Nolan, Villeneuve, and then Coogler, Ryan Coogler that'd be. But it is worth noting that stock for 30% when slate emptied. I mean, that is a fair point. I think I do feel like the stock is heavily dependent on, of course, cinema continuing to do well, but yeah, we'll see. Right. Cool. Right. Custom sound, just hardware, blah blah. But yeah, I also watched Spider-Man today in view on the View Epic, I believe it's called. View Epic. Yeah, to be honest, wasn't actually that impressed. I felt there's also a local IMAX near me, which is like not a very good IMAX, just one of the Limaxes they call it. That doesn't even have the laser projector. I think it has like the old Xenon projector. So probably the worst IMAX you can view, and I'd definitely say even that was better than the View Epic in terms of just obviously the sheer size of the IMAX screen was better, and then the sound. I think while Dolby is known as a premium go-to best sound in cinema and just in general, to be honest, like home theaters and things like that, I wasn't actually that impressed in terms of like, of course, it's an incremental improvement over everyone else. Dolby is, of course, number one in terms of audio. But yeah, I don't know, nothing special. And then when you compare the entire experience of going to IMAX, again, even like a Limax where you're watching in 190 format, 190:1 format, and then also, like I said, pretty bad projector that I have in the IMAX locally to me. And even then, like I say, it's just so much better than anything that View have in terms of their Epic line, which is meant to be a bigger screen itself, but barely noticeable. It looks like a normal size screen to me personally. And then of course there's like the HDR stuff from Dolby and I think Barco, sorry. But again, the colours weren't that great. I mean, I think my OLED TV at home has probably similar, not better, but similar colours. So yeah, not very impressed, to be honest. And especially the fact that I probably watched it in one of the best films you could watch on something like the View Epic, in terms of like colours and the blacks and all that, with the Spider-Man and the action scenes. You think the audio will be really good as well. And like I said, it was all good, but in terms of being significantly premium, which is again the whole thesis that I have when it comes to cinema movies, is that the whole cinema industry is going to shift towards premium offerings. So less seats in cinemas, you know, obviously the recliners, more premium feel. That that I think Dolby Cinemas and especially View have got locked down, to be fair, in terms of like the seats. And there's much less seats in each theatre because you have more space. Again, you've got reclining seats, so you can like kind of basically lie down, spread out, whatever. So in terms of that part of the aspect, they've got perfect. But in terms of like the actual screen and the experience of watching the movie, not actually that impressed. I think IMAX is significantly better and probably the only serious premium offering that I've seen so far. That being said, I know there is like Dolby Pacific cinemas and screens. There's one in London in Leicester Square, which apparently is really good. So I will be checking that out soon. But overall, I don't think there's much competition for IMAX, to be honest, at the moment. Because and one of the reasons actually I even bothered watching it in View Epic and trying to get some more Dolby viewings is because a lot of people have been raving and saying it's so much better than IMAX. But I think those people prefer probably the seat and the comfort rather than the actual viewing experience. Whereas I feel like if you're more into actual films and movies, then of course having a reclining seat and padded cushions are nice. But I'd rather have the IMAX experience in terms of a significantly bigger screen. I won't say better audio, but audio that matches what you'd want it. Because again, while Dolby audio is probably technically better than IMAX audio in terms of like the clearness of the sound, whatever, in terms of like the sheer experience of an IMAX, especially the audio, I think it's unmatched, and Dolby can't match it. Obviously, some people do complain saying IMAX is way too loud. But again, I don't know, I just feel like if you're not willing to have that kind of experience, then you're probably better off you probably will just stay at home anyway. So I think definitely to double down on those kind of out of the home type experiences that you can only really get now if you go all out in terms of the screen size and the audio levels and all those kind of things. Because you can watch the Odyssey at home when it comes out on Blu-ray, but it just will not match anywhere close to any of the IMAX experiences, let alone of course watching it on 1570 perf on film, of course. But even watch it digitally, IMAX is just it's not comparable unless you go out and watch it in the cinemas. So that is, and I think today really just established that thesis more. For me personally. Cool. But because of course the cinema industry it's been in trouble since COVID. Even before COVID, it's been in trouble for decades, to be honest. I mean, I think it kind of peaked in the early 2000s, and since then it has been on a decline. So that is of course always a worry buying a company in a declining and decelerating business. But I guess because the fact that IMAX is a very unique player in that aspect, where they're probably one of the only companies within the cinema movie space that has actually a growing prospect, just because the actual market share of PLFs to overall screens is going to come down. I mean, increase the market share. So while the industry overall decrease, I do feel, of course, PLFs themselves will increase. It is a bit of a weird one in that sense. Part of the PLF owned one, Swine. Disney's obviously a new Infinity Vision label. It's got a Sphere as well. Oh, that's holds. 50% of global premium cinema locations, which is quite incredible, to be honest with you. So yeah, like I said, there is, I mean, Dolby of course are a competitor, Dolby Cinema, but I don't know, after today I wasn't very impressed, unless again they have their own ones, which then I need to test out in London, but their own specific Dolby Cinema, there's barely any actually, I think. Let me double check. Oh, UK versus IMAX. Gotta double check. Advantages. So we have end-to-end technology mode, which again Dolby don't have. They don't do cameras. But yeah, you got the cameras, DMR, sound, weapon. So obviously with Dune 3, and for me personally, you know, Nolan is probably the most relevant. You can say whatever you want about Nolan's films, but he's the most relevant, the biggest director in the world at the moment. You know, he is this generation Spielberg. So having someone like him being your biggest advocate and the biggest, you know, I've never seen someone so attached to a specific camera and technology. And so to have someone like that as your biggest ambassador is, I think, quite just in itself very, very material, I think. And then also when you factor in Villeneuve, who of course has done a fantastic job with the Dune series, highly rated, and he's a big fan of IMAX, also wants to shoot as much as he can on IMAX. He's also then likely, I believe, going to be teaming the James Bond franchise next, so obviously another big director. Ryan Coogler, one of the most best upcoming directors, one of the most, at least, it's not about best, but definitely one of the most I guess they're viewed, similar to Nolan in terms of like when he releases a movie, he has his own fan base that want to go and watch it. So, and again, he also is a massive IMAX fan. So I don't know, I feel like maybe all you really need is Tarantino and Scorsese, and you've got like all the best directors at the moment. Obviously James Gunn and other stuff, other ones, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of the best directors in the world at the moment are big fans of this technology. So yeah. But yeah, like I said, the biggest thesis is this whole Nolan intended meme that's gone around and basically caught on fire. I genuinely do think it will materially change cinema going forward, which again a lot of Wall Street hasn't factored in or realised. But that also then does mean auteur dependence, which of course is not ideal. You know, like Nolan, Villeneuve, and Coogler, if they do roll off, might be an issue. But again, I don't think that's as big of an issue as you may think. Purely for the fact that I do think then, you know, the next up and coming big directors are obviously seeing this now. Obviously, seeing the massive, not just this massive success of IMAX, but then what it can produce as well. So I'll be very surprised if again you've got Coogler emerging, who's already done it, but the next big directors coming up, I'd be very surprised if they don't try to do stuff on IMAX or experiment with it. Yeah, and again, the studios themselves have seen just how much more money you can generate with the PLF format anyway, and that's given evidenced by the fact that Disney have created this, Infinity Vision label just so they can then compete with Dune 3, who obviously took all the IMAX screens and exclusivity for the next when they both released at the same time. So obviously, even when a company like Disney does something like that, they obviously know where the market's heading as well. So. And yeah, massive demand in terms of getting new IMAX screens. I think after Oppenheimer we saw it already, but again after Odyssey now I think it's going to ramp up even more in terms of the amount of cinemas that want IMAX screens at their theatres. I don't know, I feel like going forward, if you don't have at least one IMAX screen at your theatre, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. Of course you don't need them all to be IMAX, because very unlikely most films will be shot in IMAX given how few cameras there are, but it's very evident the fact that once a film does come out on IMAX, there's a massive demand to then of course watch it in the format it was made for. And so if your cinema doesn't have an IMAX screen, which a lot still don't, kind of basically shooting yourself in the foot in terms of revenue, because of course you can then charge another 20-30% more than the standard ticket admission price, maybe more than that. I think the average sort of ticket price is now £12, £10, something like that, and IMAX about £20. So yeah, definitely a lot of upside in that sense. Alright, cool. Don't need that in there. Oh, I just did that, didn't I? No, let's see. 7:30. And regime change. My fan's doing my head in. Anyway. Let's see then. IMAX outnumbers Dolby Cinemas UK roughly 6-7 to 1. So yeah, there's only 6-7 sites Dolby Cinemas in the UK. All Odeon, Dolby and Odeon committed to 7 UK sites back in 2018. So what's that? 8 years ago, and nothing's changed. Or making Odeon the exclusive operator format here. The rollout went to Leicester Square, which is one I'm planning on visiting soon. Leeds Thorpe Park, Manchester Trafford Centre, Birmingham Plaza, and obviously now Odeon Lux West End, Screen 1 in 2021. Most recently, a new Dolby Cinema opened in Odeon Liverpool 1. And then we're going to have one maybe in northern Manchester. And then, of course, IMAX has 40 branded screens across multiple chains, 25 with IMAX. View then runs, of course, the Printworks Manchester one, which is the iconic one with the 70mm IMAX screen. Cool. So it's not really comparable at the moment. And again, like I said, I viewed View Epic, and it's just it's not that good, even compared to the base IMAX or the original or the worst IMAX projectors. So as I said, the thesis around the whole thing, the thesis around the whole thing is a brand regime change due to the Nolan intended name, which we already mentioned. 70mm comparison shots. Mid-range review IMAX Barbenheimer. Scarcity modes. Capital position, leverage, blah blah blah. Brand is hot. Good balance sheet. Ownership is, let's see, 93% institutional, driven size 22%. Cool. Apple using well, yeah. I mean, there was room even before the whole Odyssey thing kind of shifted the brand perception, increased the brand popularity. There was talks of a takeover by, like Apple, Amazon, Netflix. I think that will only now maybe exacerbate, but of course, our price will be significantly higher. So, will be interesting if that does happen, because of these, obviously, the stock's trading at $50 a share now. So, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. And then, yeah, of course, the conclusion, which we'll come on to eventually, but. IMAX is a quality asset. Go on, I'll update this stuff later. Checkpoint, education. That's that done. Come back to that later tomorrow. We'll do these 3 tomorrow, I think. Or I'll do these 3 tomorrow. Which one's statements? So let's quickly have a look at this thing. Get some rough numbers in. Sugar.
Why are so many old movies coming back to theaters this year? You may have noticed that Sony recently announced all 8 Spider-Man movies will be back in theaters from April through June. But that's just the start of several blockbusters returning to cinemas across the US. Studios are re-releasing fan favorites over the past 6 months, and that trend will continue. It's partly due to a gap in premieres from the writers and actors strikes last year, but a bigger reason has to do with the future of all cinema. It's all related to what Hollywood calls premium large format. PLF screens, as you can imagine, are much larger than a standard movie theater screen and come equipped with bigger and better speakers as well. These PLF formats include the most popular IMAX, but also Regal's RPX format and AMC's Dolby Cinema format. These 3 formats differ slightly and all offer variations like IMAX Laser or IMAX Dome, but they all have one thing in common. The price of these tickets is higher than a standard movie ticket. So why do people want to see movies like this? It's a result of the hyper-digitalized world that we all live in, with so many different pieces of technology competing for our attention. The days of a date night or a Saturday afternoon with friends at the movies are fading. The traditional pull of a movie just doesn't cut it anymore. When there are so many shows and movies on streaming at home, combined with the prevalence of HD flat screens in most houses across America, it means that theaters have been struggling to make money for a while. And with an IMAX experience, moviegoers can experience a movie in a singular way. It's the most transportive movie watching experience, and it's no coincidence that some of the highest grossing filmmakers in Hollywood today are shooting mostly with IMAX film cameras.
So in IMAX, the IMAX format encourages you to look around.
I like the feeling of being, nearly overwhelmed by it.
Let's look at 2 movies that were released in theaters in 2023. Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon. Both 3-hour historical epics directed by well-known directors featuring all-star casts. However, Oppenheimer made over $800 million more than Killers at the box office. Sure, part of it was due to the Barbenheimer craze, but Nolan has built a loyal audience by offering unique and massive movies with enormous scope and bigger sound. While I enjoyed both movies, Oppenheimer was a much better experience in theaters. The script and sound were propulsive, and the 3-hour runtime flew by. Both Killers and Oppie had a lot of dialogue, but I feel like Oppenheimer leveraged all aspects of the theater better than Killers, and it seems audiences agreed. From Barbenheimer through early 2024, the box office was pretty stagnant. Families turned out to see Wonka over the holidays, and a few other movies captured the attention of the general public, but it wasn't until Dune Part 2 that fans started to champion the theater again. Shot 100% in IMAX compared to 40% in Part 1, Dune Part 2 was a box office hit, with fans everywhere heralding the immersive experience. Greta Gerwig, Denis Villeneuve, James Cameron, and others know that shooting in IMAX is the best way to lure fans to the theater, and the best way to make a profit as well. Depending on where you live, PLF tickets can cost up to 50% more than a normal movie ticket when comparing independent theaters to chains like AMC and Regal. The future for theater owners lies in being able to offer your audience a unique experience. One of the newer formats available is ScreenX, with them recently announcing that they're installing more ScreenX auditoriums across Europe and North America. And we're also seeing established veteran directors partner with IMAX to re-release their old films in that format. I can't remember Paul Thomas Anderson's 2 most recent films, Licorice Pizza and Phantom Thread, being released in IMAX. Studios are also moving or shifting films around to extend their IMAX runs and maximize the return potential. Dune Part 2 was originally scheduled for release March 15th, 2024, but once the strike was over, legendary Warner Bros. Moved it up to March 1st to have exclusive access to IMAX screens for 3 weeks instead of 1, with Kung Fu Panda releasing on March 22nd. A24 and Warner Bros. Are bringing old movies back to IMAX, partly to raise the box office gross of each film and entice fans to see the movie again, but also to promote upcoming films that they're releasing, offering sneak peeks and extended previews. It's an interesting marketing strategy, but one that seems to be working well, and I would imagine we'll continue to see old films back in theaters, especially during quieter months at the movies like late winter and early spring. So what movies are you catching in theaters again this year? My fingers are crossed for an Interstellar IMAX re-release in November as rumored, but let me know what you're seeing in the comments below.
I think I'll probably leave the stream there. Just gotta do a couple bits, but I just wanted to make sure the stream was working and the internet was alright now. But tomorrow will be a much longer stream, probably be on about try to get on about 6:30 tomorrow, and then probably stream about 3 hours. So, and then get a lot of this done, and then also the IMAX analysis.